Good morning. Welcome to Unity Center of Pittsburgh on this beautiful, sunny right now, cold, windy day. But some of us are here, some of us made it in this weather, and I welcome you all. Glad to see you online, and we are going to have such a fun time today. And you know that we come together to celebrate the truth of our divine nature together. And unity is a new thought spiritual philosophy which affirms there is one loving and creative power in the universe. And there's no separation between this loving God energy and ourselves, because we are divine spiritual beings sharing this human experience together. So today we are blessed to have our message presented by Cheryl Lowitzer, which is Shed a Little Light, Martin Luther King Jr.'s legacy. Ooh, can't wait, Cheryl. So let's join together as we read our vision and mission statements. We envision a spiritually awakened world flowing with divine love. And we are an inclusive, loving, growing community dedicated to teach, inspire, and practice positive spiritual living. So we get to have a song with our wonderful Jet Downey, who's here as our musician this morning. Welcome, Jet.
Thank you, Jan. We've got a small group here in the sanctuary, so I'd like for everyone to sing. And if you're at home watching all by yourself, even if you just have your breakfast cereal and your coffee right there, I'd like you to sing by yourself at home. This is Day by Day. Day by day, day by day, oh dear Lord, three things I pray: to see Thee more clearly, love Thee more dearly, follow Thee more nearly, day by day, day by day, day by day. Oh dear Lord, three things I pray: to see Thee more clearly, love Thee more dearly, follow Thee more nearly, day by day, day by day, day by day. Oh dear Lord, three things I pray: to see Thee more clearly, love Thee more dearly, follow Thee more nearly, day by day, day by day, day by day. Oh dear Lord, three things I pray: to see Thee more clearly, love Thee more dearly, follow Thee more nearly, day by day, day by day, by day.
Thank you, Jet. And yes, I could almost hear you out there. So let's do our opening prayer. Divine Creator, we thank you for this life we are expressing. We realize we are the channels through which your power flows in peace and love. We release our fears and know we are safe in the eternal love that blesses and supports us. We are filled with energy and strength. We are inspired with understanding. With gratitude and certainty, we say, Amen And so it is. And now I have a chance to light the Christ candle. So, our Christ candle represents the divine truth of the one loving God energy. And we are all one together, and we affirm that this love and light is omnipresent, and it's our intention to bring forth this light to shine brightly in the world. So remember, as Jesus tells us, you are the light of the world. So let's say our unity principles together. God is the source and creator of all. There is no other enduring power. God is good and pleasant everywhere. We are spiritual beings created in God's image. The Spirit of God lives within each person. Therefore, all people are inherently good. We create our life experiences through our way of thinking. Through prayer and meditation, we increase our conscious contact with God, bringing forth love, wisdom, health, prosperity, and everything good. Knowledge of these spiritual principles is not enough. We must live them. Yes. So now let's do another song with Jet, Maiori's Lord Prayer.
This is a version of the Lord's Prayer that you may have heard us do here at Unity a few times in the past. I wrote the music, and the words come from the Maori prayer book from the people who live in what some of us might call the land New Zealand. So let us pray. Eternal Spirit, Earth Maker, Pain Bearer, Life Giver, Source of all that is and that shall be, Father and Mother of us all, loving Holy One, in whom is heaven. May it happen in a way that is good to you. May it happen on earth in the same way as it happens in the spirit world. With the bread we need for today, feed us. In the hurts we absorb from one another, forgive us in times of temptation and testing. Strengthen us from trials too great to endure. Spare us from the grip of all that is evil. Free us, for you live in the glory and the power that is love, none forever.
Oh, thank you, Jet. That was so powerful. Oh, and that leads us into our daily word, which is serve. And our affirmation is, I bring God's love into the world through service. I don't need special skills to be of service. I have willing hands and an open heart, channels of God's love to be directed wherever they are needed most. This impulse to serve is my compassionate nature seeking expression. I respond to the needs around me by doing what I can do to help. I do not think of reward or recognition. Just being of service fills my heart. Serving is a wonderful way to feel close to God. My loving heart is open, my hands are busy, and my life feels purposeful when I am doing what I can to brighten one person's life or to make the world a better place. I feel God's presence strongly as I serve and share through love and care of the divine. And from Matthew, for I was hungry, and you gave me food. I was thirsty, and you gave me something to drink. I was a stranger, and you welcomed me. So now our blessing of the children. Bring into your mind the children in your lives, your family, your friends, yourself as a child. Hold in your heart those children you know and love. Now let that love expand and flow to all children everywhere. Know that each child shares in God's love and kindness. Each child is safe in God's care, growing into their own true spiritual potential. May each child receive praise and encouragement and always be loved as their true spiritual self. And may they know the divine presence lives within each one of them to learn, discover, and grow toward their true purpose in love. So we recognize and honor all children everywhere. We send our light and love to every child and bless them as the true light of God. And so it is. Now let us bring our hearts to all those who are in need of uplifted prayer. We see these individuals and situations surrounded and nourished by the healing balm of our love and light. We see radiant health and wholeness, comfort for those in distress, resolution to conflicts, wisdom and guidance for our world leaders, and peaceful collaboration in any and all relationships. So if you would like to write the name of a person or a situation that you would like prayer for on a prayer request slip, we are passing those out right now for you. We will pray over them, and then we send them to Silent Unity for 30 days of additional prayer. You can put your prayer slips in the collection basket when it's passed later, or in the prayer box in the foyer. And if you're with us online and you want your prayer request to be prayed over, go to silentunity.org following our service and request your prayer. So now let's move into song as we bring these individuals and situations into the healing light of prayer. So we are going to do I Am Opening Up in Sweet.
I am opening up in sweet surrender to the luminous love light of the one. I am opening up in sweet
Thank you, Jet. And now we get to enjoy a special solo by Jet, Where I Belong by Sharon Murphy.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jet.
This is a piece that was introduced to me by a friend and mentor named Laverne Baker Hotep. You may know her. She worked at the Kingsley Center for a long time. Now she's doing some more work in traveling. But this is a song written by Sharon Murphy, who is an Irish singer-songwriter. And that might bring one picture to mind. Oh, she's an Irish singer-songwriter, but she is a woman of color. And she grew up in an orphanage in Ireland. And it was a very difficult kind of coming up into the world. She was made fun of. She felt like a misfit. She sort of felt like, she wasn't really one of her fellow countrywomen. But eventually, she found herself, and she found her sense of belonging. And she talks about that in this song. It's called Where I Belong. As a child, I learned that people who look like me needed people like you to feed, to clothe, to educate, and to civilize us too. Now I am old enough to know these worn-out myths, although untrue, have been the cause of oh so much pain and grief between me and you. And I have found my way home in my heart, and I am where I belong in my soul through the rhythm of song. Many years I have longed to be accepted right here, and the wonder of it all I let go. Finally, just like you, I belong in this land we walk upon. But unlike you, I must explain how come I do. And I have found my way home in my heart, and I am where I belong in my soul through the rhythm of song. Oh, many years I have watched you define people who look like me, and the wonder of it all is our beauty and our diversity. I disagree with the way you define me, so let's agree to disagree, because what you do to you. what you do to you. And I have found my way home in my heart. And I am where I belong in my soul through the rhythm of song. And I have found my way home in my heart. And I am where I belong in my soul through the rhythm of song.
Oh, Jet, that was amazing. It's amazing how music heals us, isn't it? Thank you. And what she said, what you do to you. That was so powerful. Thank you, Jet. Whew. So, as you know, the Sunday service was created by you, and everything we do here is from our loving blessings and donations. So those of us here and those of us who aren't right here, but here in heart and in visualness, audio-visualness, remember that. So please give generously. And now we have the pleasure of hearing Cheryl talk about Shed a Little Light, Martin Luther King Jr.'s legacy. Cheryl, come on down.
Good morning. I actually felt compelled, not just moved, but compelled to deliver today's message because Dr. King and I share a birthday, which is tomorrow, January 15th. I carry no delusions that there will ever be a national holiday designated in my honor. However, there's a certain self-imposed expectation when you share a birthday with an icon in the civil rights movement that some way, however small, you're here to be a part of the change he wanted to see. This message actually started out as me regurgitating a lot of his words. You have my mentor, Carrie, in Colorado to thank for the fact that we're not going to do that today. Basically, the message is how this white senior citizen came to a deeply held conviction that being an effective ally for racial justice requires three things. Education. We've got to educate ourselves. And when I say we, I'm talking people that look like me. Relationship, and action. Before we dive into what that means for me, and might mean for you, it is Martin Luther King weekend. So there's a pop quiz. There's a piece of paper on the end of some of the rows. Please grab that piece of paper, that quiz. For online viewers, I'm going to read the questions out loud to you. Why is Martin Luther King Day celebrated in January? It's the month the Civil Rights Amendment was passed. This is multiple choice, by the way. It's the month of his death. It's the month of his birth, or all of the above. Where was Martin Luther King Jr. born? Montgomery, Alabama? Jackson, Mississippi? Nairobi, Kenya? Or Atlanta, Georgia? Martin Luther King skipped 9th and 12th grade, and he started college when he was 15 years old. Graduated from Morehouse College with a bachelor's degree in sociology. Then he earned his master's and doctorates. So what was his career? City bus driver, university professor, elementary school teacher, or preacher? Martin Luther King led the Montgomery bus boycott. That lasted over a year. It started in December 1955 and lasted 385 days. Which of the following events did not happen as a result of that boycott? He was arrested, his house was bombed, racial segregation ended on all public Montgomery buses, and he lost his job. Which of those did not happen as a result of that boycott? If you're here in person, I'm skipping number 6. If you don't know this, I don't want to know you. King was imprisoned 29 times for his nonviolent demonstrations, civil disobedience, trumped-up charges aimed at slowing down his involvement in the civil rights movement. Which famous person once posted bail on his behalf? Malcolm X, Rosa Parks, Billy Graham, or John F. Kennedy? Martin Luther King, he won or received the Nobel Peace Prize when he was 35 years old. He was the youngest person ever. Other awards that he received during his lifetime included all of the following except the Presidential Medal of Freedom, Time Magazine's Man of the Year, the Booker T. Washington Society's Wright Award, or Planned Parenthood's Margaret Sanger Award. I'm skipping number 9, again, for the same reason. We all need to know that. His good friend Mahalia Jackson sang his favorite hymn at his funeral. What is the hymn's name? On Jordan's stormy banks, it is well with my soul. Take my hand, precious Lord, one day at a time. Dr. King said he wanted to be remembered as all of the following things except he did not want to be remembered for this. Which one was it? Someone who tried to love and serve humanity, someone who tried to feed the hungry and clothe the naked, someone who followed Jesus with all his heart, a drum major for peace, justice, and righteousness. And finally, President Reagan signed the bill in November 1983 that created the federal holiday we will all celebrate tomorrow. When was the first time it was celebrated by all 50 states? January 21st, 1986, January 23rd, 1994, January 17th, 2000, or January 21st, 2008? If you're here, I have the answer key. It'll be interesting to see how people did. If you're watching online, you can simply ask the great Google to test your knowledge of Martin Luther King Jr. and find out how much you do or do not yet know. Okay. I have a question, because we have an image here of the March on Washington, which was for jobs and freedom, by the way. How many people in this room or online, and if you're online, please use the chat because I'll look at this later, actually heard or participated in the 1963 march and heard that speech live? The person I am today would have been there. My 3-year-old self was not able to attend. My parents were busy with a 2-year-old, a 1-year-old, and had one in the oven in 1963. Couple that with the very good chance that Norman Lear came up with the idea for Archie Bunker, in All in the Family based on the viewpoints of my dad and most of our neighbors. And you get the vibe that I grew up in. For example, when I brought a black friend home to our house in 1979, I thought my dad would have a stroke, literally. I was too young to have a clue what was going on during the 60s civil rights movement. I've learned everything I know about Vietnam from movies as an adult. For that matter, current events were just not something we discussed at the dinner table. It wasn't nearly as important as which sibling was touching who, or God forbid, she's breathing on me. But here's the thing. I grew up with 47 first cousins. I have cousins who are half Hawaiian, half Pakistani, cousins who have African American and Latinx birth parents. I would lament for hours back in the days of sunbathing with iodine and baby oil. Why wasn't my skin as dark and beautiful as Meilani's? Or my sister Darcy's. She got Dad's olive skin tone. I got the Irish tendency to burn to a crisp. So my education in race relations, if you will, began with Alex Haley's novel Roots. I read the book and cried. When we watched the miniseries, I was inconsolable. And at that time, my thinking went, So all the white people on the beach want to tan and get darker, but there's this skin color thing. Now, you didn't talk about that in my house, but that's what was going on in my head. Did I do anything about it? No. Other than feel righteously angry with white people because I was so sure I would never. Fast forward, now I'm an adult, I live in Pittsburgh, and I attended a series of classes at the Presbyterian Church in the North Side that I went to for several years. And we discussed the PBS special called Race, The Power of an Illusion. It was mind-blowing to me. Whoosh! Don't even get me started about the GI Bill in Levittown. But did I do anything with my righteous indignation then? No. It was the beginning of my understanding of what white privilege means. The Strange Fruit photo exhibit at the Andy Warhol Museum was another step along the road to my being a racial justice ally and advocate. I'm not going to go into it here, but look it up. Some young black college girls really got in my face at that exhibit about some things I said. I don't remember what I said, apart from it being some version of how proud I was of myself that I was there. Oh, I felt like a very fragile white person that night. In 2011, I moved to Boulder, Colorado, which, trust me, was nothing like the north side of Pittsburgh looked during my 18 years prior to moving there. The only diversity there seemed to be among the college students at the University of Colorado, which CU campus. I was fortunate enough, though, to meet a man, Kerry, and work with him eventually, who called himself a unicorn because he was one of a handful of black professionals in Boulder. He tolerated all of my stupid questions, and I asked every one of them. He suggested books I might read. He introduced me to the Harvard implicit bias tool and helped me understand that every single one of us carries some level of implicit bias. I moved back to Pittsburgh in 2020 and found one of the best jobs I've ever had. I worked with one of the local nonprofits here that understands the current day implications of racial injustice in our city, in Pittsburgh, specifically the racial wealth gap. This didn't just happen. It traces its origins to slavery, segregation, redlining. In Incidentally, East Liberty, this neighborhood we live in, Garfield, it's on the original red line map of Pittsburgh, which means no one, banks, investors, no one was investing in this neighborhood because this is where people of color lived. Contrast that with today. Google, Duolingo, apartments that rent for the thousands. More education. I participated in Bread for the World's racial wealth gap simulation, and I did not wind up as a white person in that training session. I read the books, White Fragility, Lies My Teacher Told Me, What Doesn't Kill You Makes You Blacker, The Sum of Us, which this is taking me forever to get through because I can only read 10 pages at a time before I feel like I've been gut punched. Last year, I decided to enroll in Cornell's Diversity and Inclusion Certificate program and learned a great deal about how to effectively create more equality, diversity, inclusion in our communities. I have more work to do there. One of our projects with the nonprofit I worked for, which actually is involved in this neighborhood, and was called the Pittsburgh Coalition for Black Wealth. It was funded by the Heinz Endowments, and the goal was to look very deeply at the black wealth metrics in Allegheny County. I'm not going to spout a slew of statistics. However, in March 2022, the Pittsburgh Community Reinvestment Group, PCRG, published a study with some very stark facts about our city today. Pittsburgh is increasingly segregated by socioeconomic status. 75%, almost 75% of Pittsburgh's black communities reside in census tracts here in the bottom 50% of household incomes. They typically have higher family poverty rates, and that includes children. Vacant housing units, lower income, and additional factors that make home ownership almost unattainable. And as we know, home ownership is still the primary vehicle for wealth creation in the United States and for wealth transfer. We're about to see that with my generation, the baby boomers. So back to Dr. King and his dream and his sermons and what it took to pass the Civil Rights Act in 1964, the Voting Rights Act in 1965, and where we are now. Yesterday I went to the Carnegie Museum of Art, which is showing a continuous loop of important civil rights speeches. More education. I had never heard until yesterday afternoon of Bayard Rustin and the Freedom Budget. And apparently there is a Netflix special produced by Michelle and Barack Obama's film company about Rustin. I wanted to hear more of Dr. King's thoughts, so I also listened to his 1967 Christmas Eve sermon. So much of his talk is so relevant today, January 14th, 2024, as they were 56 years ago, that I encourage you to look for CBC Radio Rewind. It was one of his Massey lectures, and it's fabulous to hear his voice. So that's the education piece. But that's nothing without relationship. So during my tenure with Open Hand, I came to call the executive director, Wayne Younger, more than my boss. He's my friend. He's a fellow North Sider. We've laughed together. We've cried together. And I was able to work very closely with a wonderful community of people I'd not previously had the privilege of knowing. It helped me, especially Wayne, helped me understand white guilt doesn't help any cause, and everyone's experience of whatever trauma they've been through can and should be respected. There were two young women that were ready to take someone out in a back alley as payback for hurting me. I babysat for another single parent's little boy and cleaned mud off of him and borrowed a diaper from the next door neighbor. And we all laughed together at some of my dumb white people crap. It's termed differently in Damon Young's book, but we are a family-friendly recording here. And we're stronger together when we make the effort to get to know each other. At this point, I'd like Mac to share the Maccabeats and Naturally 7. They're going to do a cover of James Taylor's Shed a Little Light. This song gives me hope every single time I hear it. Pay exquisite attention, if you will, to the lyrics and what you see in this video that we would not have seen in 1963, even though Dr. King clearly dreamed of such a thing. Mac, roll it.
Let us turn our thoughts today to Martin Luther King and recognize that there are ties between us, all men and women living on the earth, ties of hope and love, of sister and brotherhood, and we are bound together in our desire to see the world become a place in which our children can grow free and strong. We are bound together by the task that stands before us and the road that lies ahead. We are bound, we are bound.
There's a feeling like the clenching of a fist. There's a hunger in the center of the chest. There's a passage through the darkness and the mist. And though the body sleeps, the heart will never rest.
Shed a little light, oh
Shed a little light, oh Lord, oh, yeah.
So we can see,
So we can see, yeah.
just a little light, oh
Just a little light, oh
wanna stand it on up,
Lord. Standing on up, yeah.
stand it on up,
Standing on Lord. Can we walk it on?
walk it on down,
Shed a little
light, oh can't get no light from a dollar bill,
Can't get no light from no dollar bill.
don't give me no light from a TV screen.
Oh, no, no, no.
When I open my eyes, I wanna drink my fill from the well on the hill.
And I know you know what I mean, 'cause you
Shed a little light,
oh Lord. Shed a little light, oh Lord.
can see,
Oh yeah.
just a little light, oh Lord.
Just a little light, oh Lord. Can we stand it on a
Stand it on up,
yeah.
stand it on up,
Oh Lord. Oh Lord, walk it on
walk it on down. Shed a little light, oh There is a feeling like the clenching of a fist.
There is a hunger in the center of the chest. Oh no.
There is a passage through the darkness and the mist.
Oh no. And though the body sleeps, the heart will never rest. Let us turn our thoughts today to Martin Luther King.
And recognize that there are ties between us, all men and women living on the earth, ties of hope and love, of sister and brotherhood.
Every week, Unity centers around the world light the Christ candle. Why? Because we believe every individual has the spark of Christ consciousness, spirit, or light, if you will. Whether you grew up singing "This Little Light of Mine, I'm Gonna Let It Shine," or you're struggling today to actually believe you are the light this world is waiting for. Anytime we see a light, it does remind us, and here I will quote Dr. King, "Darkness cannot cast out darkness, only light can. Hate cannot cast out hate, only love can." Jesus encouraged us all to love one another, to love our neighbor as ourselves. So let's think about ways we can express more love today as we turn our thoughts to Dr. Martin Luther King. What actions can we take to educate ourselves and develop more meaningful relationships with people in our neighborhoods? Let's consider the ties that bind us based on the words in the song we just heard. We are bound together in our desire to see the world become a place in which our children can grow free and strong. We bless the children every week here. Are we blessing all the children? Is there anyone here in person or online who would deny any young child the right to grow up free and strong? So how do we, as members of Unity here in Pittsburgh, actually shed more light? Can we become better neighbors here in Garfield and on Kincaid or wherever we live? Can we engage and participate more with the, I always get this wrong, Bloomfield Garfield Corporation? It's BGC. For some reason I want to say Broomfield, but that's in Colorado. Bloomfield Garfield Corporation. And the people who are moving into the affordable housing units they're building in Garfield and on our street. Are we willing to get out tomorrow and participate in celebrating Dr. King and his legacy, even if it's cold, even if it's snowing? You'll see links on our Unity Facebook page that point to activities honoring Dr. King today in Pittsburgh and Westmoreland tomorrow. Tomorrow you're going to find me at the Kelly Strayhorn Theater for the Let Freedom Sing concert. I want to end my talk with a prayer and a meditation that I discovered 40 years ago when my younger brother died. And it's written in a book by Rabbi Harold Kushner called "When Bad Things Happen to Good People." I thought it was appropriate because we can clearly see in the United States history how many bad things have happened to good people of color. As you listen to this, it was written a zillion years ago. I'm not going to change the they, their things, okay? I want you, though, to visualize the parts of this prayer that are calling for action. We cannot merely pray to you, O God, to end war, for we know that you have made the world in a way that we must find our own path to peace, that man must find his own path to peace within himself and with his neighbor. We cannot merely pray to you, O God, to end starvation, for you have already given us the resources with which to feed the entire world if we would but use them wisely. We cannot merely pray to you, O God, to root out prejudice, for you have already given us eyes with which to see the good in all men if we would only use them rightly. We cannot merely pray to you, O God, to end despair, for you have already given us the power to clear away slums and to give hope if we would only use our power justly. We cannot merely pray to you, O God, to end disease, for you have already given us great minds with which to search out cures and healing if we would only use them constructively. Therefore, we pray to you instead, O God, for strength, determination, and willpower to do instead of just to pray, to become instead of merely to wish. Thank you all for listening, and thank you, Dr. King, for your contributions.
Wow. Thank you. That was so powerful. And I not being a person of color, it was so powerful for you to help me. And I was there. I'm about 10 or so years older than you are. And so I was there and I listened to that and I felt so helpless because I couldn't do anything. And now I can, so thank you. So now, forgive me, but I know you understand. Yes, it's all right here.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jan. So as we move into our prosperity practice, we know that it's God's unlimited supply that helps each and every one of us prosper, especially when we continue to grow together. As we grow and manifest prosperity in infinite ways, as we give, we also receive. If you're online, please introduce yourself to the chat. And I want to thank you, Divine Creator, for the blessings that continue to unfold in our lives, in our neighborhoods. And as you hold your offering in your hand, let us repeat our prosperity prayer together. Divine love, through me, blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive, and I am grateful. And now we have a song. And let us see the face of God in every single person we even think about today.
You are the face of God. I hold you in my heart. You are a part of me. You are the face of God. You are the face of love. I hold you in my heart. You are my family. You are the face of God. You are the face of God. I hold you in my heart. You are a part of me. You are the face of God.
I love that song. And now, congregational announcements. We have a drum circle on January 27th at 6 p.m. And I noticed Devin, led by our very own Devin Jeffries. There will be an introduction to unity on Sunday, the 28th at noon, which is incredibly informative if you'd like to know more about unity. There's a Reiki share on February 4th at 12:15. And if you'd like to learn more about what a Reiki share is, it's on our blog, it's on Facebook, and you can get all the information there. Now we will sing our final song. Please stand.
Now there is peace on earth, and it has begun with me. Now there is peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be, with God as creator, family all are we. Now we walk with each other in perfect harmony. Peace has begun with me, and this is the moment now. With every breath I take, let this be my joyous vow, to take each moment, live each moment in peace eternally. Now there is peace on earth, and it has begun with me.
And let's do our closing prayer together. The light of God surrounds me. I am light. The love of God enfolds me. I am love. The power of God protects me. I am power. The presence of God watches over me. I am presence. Wherever I am, God is, and all is well. So everybody have a great week. Think of all these wonderful things, and Martin Luther King tomorrow. Let's celebrate. See you all next week, and remember, we were all one together. Love you all. Amen. Yeah.